Hey everyone, it's Michael the Baptist. I hope you're doing well today. My shirt's being weird, like right here, it's like bundling up, so forgive me if it looks odd. A couple of people I've seen do a video like this. It's really made me want to come back and make another video. I want to do more Bible-centric videos. Maybe not so heavy on doctrine as much as just talking about the Bible and to encourage the brethren out there. This is one that I thought was kind of cool. A lot of people do different variations of this top 5 thing, but I saw people like John P. Miles here on YouTube and Tim Nichols, two of my favorite Christian YouTubers out there. Great brethren in the faith. God bless both of them. They both made videos at different times of their top 5 Bible translations, and I wanted to do that myself as somebody who used to be more of a King James only guy. And I started out not that way, and then I became that way, and now I'm more kind of out of that because I realized I'm stupid. But anyway, I wanted to make a video talking about my top 5 translations from my collection, what I typically read or what I jump in and out of. And I have many different Bible translations. I've jumped in and out of those many a time. I started with the Living Bible back when I first got saved, and I learned a lot, despite it being terrible in hindsight, as a paraphrase, not a translation. But anyway, let's go ahead and start off with my number 5 pick. This is one that I literally have read a little bit of off and on. I just got an actual physical copy because these are expensive for some reason. Even the ones like this that don't even have red lettering. But this is the kind of Bible I prefer. I got a copy at Walmart, and that is the ESV. Now, I was always kind of hesitant about the ESV. People joked about it having Yoda talk, and what I don't think people understand is that this is very much written in the same way that the King James was, even though it's not based on the Textus Receptus, which is what I prefer, by the way. You'll see that reflected in my list more than likely, but you may be surprised on what I format those out as. But the ESV itself, I really like this particular ESV. I love this brown, almost cherry kind of color. I just finished up Leviticus in here. I'm kind of using this as my OT Bible. I kind of use 2 Bibles at one time a lot of the time because they usually only have one bookmark. This one doesn't have any. But I really like this ESV so far. I learned a lot reading Leviticus in here. New stuff that I'd never really paid attention to before. And it's been great. It's been a really great help so far. Different things I learned. The other night, I just stayed up till like 5 a.m. over the weekend. I think it was Friday night or Saturday night, because I had a 3-day weekend celebrating my wife's birthday. I love you, honey. God bless you. I just wanted to really dig into this, and I got a chance to, and I learned a lot of cool stuff from this, so far anyway. This is a lot of churches' favorite Bible to use right now, translation-wise, but it gets updated so often. That's a big issue with ESV, in my opinion. Do it once, do it right, and keep it there, like the New King James did, for example. But the ESV can be a great, great help to you, I think. I don't like the missing verses. I've talked about that many a time. Other Bibles in here have the same issue. But point is, I really, really dig this, and I recommend it. If you've heard things about the ESV and you're a little nervous about it, give it a shot. Even if you're a TR guy like me, I think there's a lot to benefit from here. It's a good translation. I dug it. Now this one here may get me into some trouble with some of my brothers out there, my sisters too. I love this Bible deeply. It's very hard for me to understand and comprehend, but I think it's probably the best one ever put out in English, and that probably gave it away. The King James Version, or the authorized version, excuse me, I can never get the name right. I love the KJV, and like I said for a long time there, and I may make a video on this at some point, I used to be a King James only advocate. I still, however, think the TR is the best, and I still think that the KJV is probably the best English translation to come out 400 years ago. So I want something more faithful to the King James than any of the kind of ones that we've had that tried to do that, like the New King James, which comes pretty close. But I really love the KJV. It's just really hard for me to get into and process. And I learned something about myself, and this is probably giving away too much of what I want to say in that video about the King James. As beautiful as this is, how poetic it's written in every Bible part of it, every book of it, there's nothing like the Psalms or the Proverbs in any other translation compared to here. Even like the ones that came before it that I've read, like the Geneva or the Bishop's Bible or the Matthew's Bible. To me, they don't even come close in the wording of their translation of Psalms and Proverbs, the way the King James does. It's so special. It's so beautifully done. There's a reason this is an American classic, even though it's not American. But there's a reason this is timeless and has lasted through forever. There's a reason you can get this, not just because it's public domain, but that's part of the reason. that you can get this at like a Dollar Tree for $1. Not this copy, but like a paperback copy to give out on the street to like the homeless or somebody you talk to or a friend to try it out. But the lack of quotation marks, that's brutal, bro. I know that sounds like a stupid pick, but it's true. I also like God's pronouns being capitalized because it helps me process certain verses a lot easier. That's just a nitpick for my personal taste in 2026. But the King James is so profound and so beautifully written. But man, is it difficult to focus on. Like when I read this, one thing that drew me away from the King James, and this is the piece of info I was going to say a moment ago, probably too much info for my upcoming video at some point. As much as I love the King James, as much as I think it is probably the best English translation ever, being someone who has not read Greek or Hebrew ever, probably never will be able to. I'm just going off what I've heard of, going off of what God has done to preserve his word and how I'm a hard believer on the preservation of God's word, believing the TR is it, but that's not the point. The thing is with this, I feel like I can read a sentence, but a lot of the time I am not comprehending the sentence, which means I'm missing a lot. And again, the ESV and a lot of these other Bibles I'm about to show really made me come to terms with that. It made me realize how prideful and egotistical I was about trying to say that I understood the King James when I really didn't. But there are so many things I prefer about this. Like, again, Genesis chapter 1, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. All the newer ones have said heavens. The ones previous to the King James said heaven. Because of the Jews' teaching and how they would have translated that, you know? But anyway, I love the KJV so much. I recommend it highly. It's just you have to like have a dictionary and stuff. That's another thing I want to bring up. My pastor recently, because we're a King James church, I love them for that. I love that we preach from the King James there. I say we, but I'm not a preacher. I love that he is so smart. He knows so much, my pastor. I love him to death. The dude brought up the fact that husbandman means farmer. I never knew that. I read this for like 5 years pretending I understood and comprehended everything I was reading. I never knew husbandman was a farmer. So that really, really messed up how I viewed my understanding, my ego and arrogance about this version. But I love to basically use this to fact check every one of these versions I have here and on my shelves. And I say fact check because I believe this is a firm closeness to the Hebrew and Greek. And I think that you can view this and correct the newer ones off of this. Not because this is inspired in a way that like it was a re-inspiration. I don't mean that. I mean this is so close to the old days, even with the these and the ye's, that I think it really helps in that respect. And I think it gives me more understanding in that respect. Fact-checking your newer Bible with the KJV, you'd be shocked how much you'll learn in general about church history, church tradition, ecclesiology in general of the early church. I think you'll learn so much if you do that little bit of fact-checking I talked about. But the KJV is the bomb. I love it. It probably pisses people off that it's so low on my list, despite my love and reverence for it. I have a ton of copies of this, just so you know. Not just from my KJVO days, but just because sometimes I like to have a copy of this. God has blessed it tremendously as a work. He has used this Bible throughout all of American and British culture for so long, all over the planet. You cannot tell me the King James was not a blessing to the world. I refuse to believe otherwise. But anyway, I'm too dumb to understand it. There's too much about it that I can't process 400 years later. But I'm going to move along and not just do my whole video here. The next one, number 3 on my list, is the New King James. This is the second Bible I ever owned. The first one I ever owned was a VBS KJV. I'll make a video on that someday. But this one little here, my grandparents that I pretty much kind of, lived in the house with years later after my parents split, they gave me this. And I remember before I got saved, I had been to a couple of VBSs and a couple of services here and there. But I cracked this open one morning before middle school, and I tried to read it, and I could not understand what I was reading. I think it goes along with that idea that you cannot understand God's Word without a brother kind of teaching you, and the Holy Spirit leading both of you on top of that. But you have to be born again to understand the Bible. Don't believe people who say that they know otherwise, that they've read it, they get it. They don't. Not without the Holy Spirit, they don't. Not without the brethren or a pastor or a mentor, they don't get it. The New King James is very traditional. It is a Textus Receptus Bible, just like the King James comes from. It's only been made one time. I think it was 82 or 84 was when the original release of this was, and it's never been updated since, despite different versions in the sense of like the things surrounding the text. Like like notes and study Bibles and whatnot. You know what I mean? Commentaries focused on it. But it's really, really good. I really like it. There's a lot of updates here. I think husbandmen, specifically in 2 Timothy 3 or 2 Timothy 2, whatever the verse was that the husbandman thing I was mentioning a moment ago was brought up in, I think they changed it to farmer here, if I remember correctly. So there's little things like that that are done. There are the pronouns of God that are updated to be capitalized. And I like those things. I think that matters a lot. And by the way, the ESV doesn't do that, which is odd as a choice to me with all the updates there. But I love that the New King James does that. I really, really enjoy this. The older I get, the more that I study out of this, the more that I really, really dig it. I learn a lot here, man. I have a couple of copies of the New King James, and this is probably my favorite because it's a cheaper one too, you know, but it's seen a lot of battle over the years, if you will, since I got saved back in 2013. And when I really got into the King James camp and realized before I even got a King James, when I started reading this when I first got saved, after I got out of my Living Bible and got into a real Bible per se, I learned a lot here. This has really taught me a lot. God has used this a lot to teach a dumb fool like me. So, New King James, really cool stuff, man. That's a TR Bible. My number 2 pick, this is the only copy I have of it. I want one of the newer ones just to see what it's like. I'm not sure how I feel about the changes, but maybe it reads better. This is the NASB 95. I love this copy. It's a thin line, really, really smooth, beautiful copy from Zondervan. The only thing with this one, the font is kind of small, you know? Like, it's not the greatest about that. It's just like that King James I showed you a moment ago. That one has like the smallest font out of all of these on the table here. Probably the smallest font King James I have too. But the NASB 95, when I was in my KJVO camp, I bought this before one of the local Christian bookstores that were left here went out of business. And I just wanted a copy. I'd always heard that this is what like seminary students are using now. And I gotta tell you, I learned so much reading this. I love this one. It's, like I said, it's obviously my number 2 on my list. But I wish the 95 had better releases still. I know it's still in print, but I don't like the ones that like they're still putting out from the Lockman Foundation. I love the NASB 95. I feel like there's so much to learn from here. And again, it's not based on a TR, the Textus Receptus type of line, but at the same time, the problems that I have are not just the missing verses. It's like the end of Mark, for example, that they try to remove in a lot of the newer Bibles. They try to. People pushed really hard on that. It's not one of those things where you can just remove a verse. But I like that this one is better about putting footnotes in there to tell you what was there and what wasn't. People say all the time a lot of the newer Bibles have that. Not all of them do. My ESV over here I talked about doesn't have that most of the time. I don't think it has it for 1 John 5:7 that people argue over all the time. But the NASB 95 is so special. I think it's written in a way that somebody like me who loves to write and loves to read like novels and stuff, it's really good for people like me. I wish like the NLT, for example, which is written very similarly, but that's a thought-for-thought translation, whereas this is a pretty much word-for-word, probably one of the best word-for-words ever, Bible translation-wise. If the NLT could maintain the way it was written, but be as quality as this when it comes to like the Book of Esther and the whole gallows and pole nonsense that one tries to teach, that would be as great as this, I think, in a lot of ways. But the NASB 95, it's so special, man. I love it to death. And again, as somebody who likes to write, it's very intricate in how it's detailed, and I really appreciate that about it. Now, my number 1 spot. This one may surprise you. I don't think this is a very common pick from anybody, even the 2 guys I mentioned earlier. I really love this translation. It's a newer, updated one of an older one. Mind you, I haven't read every English translation out there. This is one that many of you might not even know that this exists, matter of fact. It's not super popular. I think it's slowly growing back to popularity because of kind of word of mouth. And that is the Modern English version, the MEV. This Bible is probably the most beautiful Bible in my whole collection. I love the bronze page lining and stuff. Or sprayed edges, whatever we call that now. What is that called now? I love the MEV. For anybody who doesn't know, this is a Textus Receptus Bible from the line of the King James and the Geneva and all those things, and the New King James. I love this way more than the New King James. Most of the time. The New King James has a tendency, kind of like the ESV, to read more like the KJV than this does. But something about this, it's like a blend somehow, some way of like the NASB 95 and the King James, or at least the TR style, I guess. The actual TR itself is translated here, but the point is, it feels like that. It's almost like a new King James NASB 95 mashup for me. Tim Nichols did great videos and interviews on the guy who kind of headed this whole thing up and funded the project. Tim Nichols' videos on this were great. You should go check it out. This is not the greatest thing ever translation-wise. It has its flaws. But the way it reads and the font on this thing, dude, I love the large print on this. Oh my lord, it's so nice. It's so smooth, man. The way it feels on my hands, I love the feel of the cover on this. I don't even know what it's made of. But like, you can get this for like $17 and $18 right now on different websites. Amazon sells it too. It doesn't seem like this has made the splash that I think it deserves to. There's a lot of newer update covers and stuff. Like I think there was a blue and a purple one too that look really cool. I love this. I may go ahead and buy another copy of this just to have it for like vacations and stuff, because this is profoundly well done. I can't believe people are not talking about this more. Again, there are things about it that I would change, like Genesis 1, from heaven to heavens, the way the newer Bibles have done. This does the whole heavens, plural thing. Maybe people can come up with an excuse for that. I don't really agree with you, but people have that. But the maintaining of different verses like, again, the end of Mark, or like 1 John 5:7, those things matter so much to me. This does an incredible job of sticking to church history and sticking to like the kind of tendencies that the New King James and the KJV did. And I love that, and I respect the hell out of that, man. It is such a profoundly well-made Bible. Again, this cover and stuff, all these like little designs and indentations feel so nice in your hands, man. It's such a soft cover. I don't even know how to explain it. It feels like it should be leather, but it's not. And I noticed that like the spine, this paint here rubs off real easy within like the first couple of days of using it. But I love this, dude. I read this every single day. Whenever I make a video about how I read the Bible, kind of what my reading plan is and stuff, I would love to talk more about this one and kind of how I use it pretty much every day since I bought it last year. It is such a great blessing along the NASB 95 for my personal studies and my personal journey with the Lord and growing closer to Him every day. It is such a great blessing. If you've not read it, it's fantastic and I recommend it highly. So anyway, that's my top 5 Bible translations for me personally. Literally, if you ask me any other day of the week or when I'm really involved in a translation out of this group or maybe out of another one, it may be a whole different list. But this is kind of what I came to terms with, out of what I've read so much of, what I love, what I respect, and kind of the things about them tendency-wise, how they're coming from manuscripts, what they do. But that MEV, man, do not pass up on that. Go grab a copy, buy it for your mom. I don't care who it is. I talk about this thing literally like twice a week to people around me. People at church, people in life, at work, all kinds of stuff. I love this thing, man. So anyway, what are your top 5 Bible translations? Put those down in the comment section down below and let me know what you think about them. Do you lean more towards like the Alexandrian scripts or the manuscripts for TR? I'd love to hear all that down below too. Let me know what your preferences are and why. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.